Okay, welcome back to the second part of the Ajax tutorials. If you haven't seen the first part, I suggest you go back and watch the first part. There's something we did forget is just below, or the first thing we need to call in the getInfo function is the Ajax function. There we go. Alright, okay, so we've called all of this. We've got the entry info and so on. We're looking at the ready state is equal to 4, and we know where the results are going. What we need to do is now build the URL. So we know that it's info.php, whoops, and we're basically going to say user is equal to plus this get info here. Let's plonk that in there. Okay, next thing we need to do is basically let's check the on ready states change, spell it right, is equal to XML HTTP dot and the name of this function. Okay, actually no, sorry, we just need that there like that, state changed. Okay, so it's going to call this function. Next thing we need to do is to open the connection with Ajax, and we're going to be using the get method, as I said before, using the PHP, and then we're going to tell it to go to this URL, whoops, and then we want to return data. Okay, so we're not just sending data into a database, we want to actually bring data back. So next thing we need to do is to send, and we're sending nothing, so it just needs to be null. Okay, that is our Ajax function and getInfo function and state change function done. So your JavaScript Ajax page is now finished. So we can save that up and move on to our PHP file. Okay, what I've done is just I've basically made a table here, and I've put some information in it. So we've got our MySQL table with 5 fields: an ID, name, address, postcode, and telephone number. And the name of the table is info within the database of people. Okay, and I'm running under localhost at the moment, and I don't have a password on it. So let's make our PHP page first. Okay, first thing we need to do is connect to the database, and if you're working with Ajax, I'm sure you know how to do this already. So we go MySQL connect equals localhost, and then it's under root, and there's no password, and we'll just say or die did not connect to database database. And next what we want to do is select the database, which was people, or die no database of people found. I will find it always better to make a different name, then you know which part of your code went wrong. Okay, so next thing we need to do is check basically the get of user, okay, is set. Now, so we say if get user is set, which means that it's alive and there's something in it, else it will just go to the else function. So if not else, we will return, basically we'll say we're going to say info equals no user inserted, because that's what it's going to be. And at the bottom we're just going to say basically echo info at the bottom. Okay, so if get user is set, then what we want to do is we wanted to query our database. So we say MySQL query, and we're going to say select everything from info where name is equal to name. Don't worry, you haven't missed anything. We're going to make that name now. name equals get user, so just a little bit easier. And then what we're going to do is we're going to check number rows to make sure we haven't picked two elements or two IDs, two rows. Okay, so MySQL num rows, and we're going to say query. What we're going to say now is we're going to check that there's only one row. If num rows is equal to 1, then basically we're going to do the query. Else infos, because of the information we're going to be echoing out, info no user names name in the database. Okay, so if there is one row, then what we need to do is basically drag out all this information. So what we need to do is fetch associates of query, and what we're going to do now is make our info to echo it out. So info equals, let's just push this to another line, and we're going to say name equals, we need to concatenate this on, row name, and we'll add a break here, and let's just copy this 4 times, come here and we'll say address, it's case sensitive as well, so address, and then the next one I put in there was telephone, or no, the next one I wanted was postcode. You can put whatever you want as long as it goes with your database. And the last thing was telephone. It's telephone here. Okay, so number rows, let's just check this. If sec name equals get user query, MySQL query, select everything from info where name is equal to name. And we'll basically get as well, I think just to make sure it's correct, we'll say limit 1, so only 1 comes back. If number of rows is equal to 1, row equals blah 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 blah, info equals that, blah blah blah. Okay, else no users by name in this database. Yep, that's cool. Else info no user inserted, and final echo info. Right, Control S to save. Okay, let's go over to here. And basically we'll type in, have a look at the database quickly, and I'll show you that we obviously had name here. Wrong one. So let's type in David here and get information, and the information comes. Okay, so next if we type in John, no users named John in the database. And something that I tested a second ago was that if we leave it blank and we press get information, no user's name in database, it still comes up with this information. So what we want to do really is error check that they have actually typed something in. So what we just need to do is change this is set to string length is more than 0 basically. Yeah. So I tested it before already. So yeah, it's string length get user is more than 0, which means they've got to have typed something in. So we'll just save this, refresh this, and so we don't type anything in now, and it says no user inserted, which was obviously the last thing down here that we said. So that's pretty much it for this. Done it in 2 tutorials, which I'm kind of happy with. I hope you're happy with it too. There's a lot more you can do with this. So this is really the basic Ajax function and how it works. So I suggest if you go and read a book maybe, or do some research, you can do a hell of a lot more with Ajax. Anyway, I'm David Thorne. Visit me at www.thornewebdesign.de, and thank you very much for watching. It's been a pleasure.